Hello, everyone.
Yes, we are. We are indeed live.
Maybe. Allegedly. We're allegedly live.
It was taking a while for Twitch to catch up on my end, but yeah.
It's a little slow today.
Twitch is going to do what it does, man. I have no faith. It's just that sometimes, occasionally, on special days, it sends out data bits. This is one of those special days, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Now notice, I didn't say good days. I just said special.
Yeah.
They are
Only Wednesday.
days.
It's a day that ends with a Y and starts with a what? It's beautiful. Hey, everyone. We're getting ready for weekly Daily Wednesdays where we try to bring you some of the more interesting, weirder, stranger things that we've run across during the week.
No, it's not when we looked in the mirror. Don't get any ideas. All right?
Oh, look at Pedro, Mr. I can see my reflection.
Yes, happy podcast day, everyone. Some of the other podcasters call Wednesday podcast day, so.
Is that a thing, or is
Yeah.
it one of those things you just made up?
No, a lot of the science podcasts that he listens to, they call it, happy podcast day.
Who's
So-
he?
It
Oh,
seems-
Steve? Oh,
like-
Steve.
Wednesdays and Thursdays are
Yeah.
prolific when it comes to podcast day, like podcast releasing.
Yeah. Exactly. Hello, Artherin.
okay, I just got my Twitch notification. We are live. Took it a second.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, I got mine.
Well, I get a different one. I don't get the we're live. I get the your dashboard is ready to be manipulated. I'm like,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I see
Yeah.
that twice a week. That's how I know Jordan and Pedro are streaming something.
Hello, follow Stan.
Yeah, I didn't forget to change the title of the stream yesterday, but I wasn't paying attention to what OBS was doing because it decided to forget to capture the output of the game.
Give me just a little more volume, Pedro.
Let's see, bringing up that volume by about this much. Say when. Let's see, I need to keep my finger off the thing
Alright.
so I can see if it starts right there.
A little
Right
bit
here?
more. A little bit more.
Give or take. Okay, a little bit more. Going in a little bit more. Maybe it's getting a little too hot. Maybe it's getting a little too cold. Who
I
knows?
can work with
Giving it
that.
a bit more.
I can work.
A little bit more. Here we go. That clipped.
You can take it down. I don't know. It's got to. I don't know what you're doing. You're messing with things and not saying words. So
That's the thing. I just kind of stopped where it clipped when I laughed. So that's kind of where it is. It's about 80% of the way.
all right.
It's pointing directly at the other knob.
Knob.
Teeny tiny little knob.
Let me see
Pizza clock.
if I can. Role playing the home game.
I mean, I do have the fan going, so
No. It's just overall volume.
okay.
Here, we can watch Pedro.
Yeah, no, there was a weird smell coming in from the window, and it smelled, burning.
Oh,
And
boy.
I've over the past week or so, I've been keeping a very close eye on the temperatures on the processors because that case it did not have very good cooling. So now I'm a bit paranoid. But then it's like, oh, meat, barbecue.
Oh, okay. It's a different smell.
But yeah, then it was like that first rush. It's like something's burning.
There is that. I laugh at you. I mock you with. I eventually just unplugged the PoE system. I was playing our own power over Ethernet yesterday, kids.
45
right back.
watts.
Before we have a non-existent pizza clock, but I've been keeping track.
Oh, it's there.
It's right
You
there.
have 5 minutes.
Yeah. 36, 35,
Where is
34,
Dang it.
Right down there. Look at Ven's screen. It's down there.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah, I cut that on between the router
Maximize a little bit.
and the switch. I mean, it works. I don't know. A rational fear of power over Ethernet.
That it is 45 watts that you can put out over an Ethernet port. Says that will charge most laptops if laptops had PoE.
And you know, it's not like I buy good cables. You know, I mean, I get them from like Cable Matters. I mean, they make good, reasonably priced stuff. You know, it's not like Leary's Ethernoodle Shack. That like, oh.
The really thin ones.
Yeah. So I mean, these are chunky cables. You know, irritating to bend cables. That's what I look for in a cable. And but I was coming in here probably every 5 or 10 minutes, and I felt myself just like sitting in this chair, looking at it, like, do something. What, Pedro? You're distracted.
No, I was going to linuxgamecast.com/live to see if there was anything to what Romlock said, and yeah, it was taking a while to load there, but it does load, and it does work.
What? Oh, Twitch changed how they do their embedding things, so you might need to clear your caches, or you might need to have cookies enabled. That's Twitch. Or you just go to twitch.com/LinuxGamecast, watch it there. Yeah, if you're just getting a white screen, that's what it is. Oh man, I don't know if I would trust. You know, good on them for marking it. It's like not for PoE. But by the end of the day, I finally came back upstairs and I was like, you know, hey, I'm not gonna be able to sleep with this hooked up. I'm not. I know me.
Yeah, there's a reason that usually those switches are in rooms with, you know, enterprise grade air conditioning.
Halon. But yeah, I've rewired how we get our network stuff. It's switching on one side audio and it's switching internet on the other. Then that's split out, and then I get another. I know nothing about networks, so we'll see how that works out. On the other hand, I'm going to teach everyone how to assemble a multi-mode OM4 short run, like 5 to 9 meter fiber optic setup in their house, because I do know about that, but I don't consider that networking. That's getting to play with lasers. It's also, I'm not going to say it's terribly confusing if you've never had to deal with it professionally, but I also watched some YouTube videos and I'm like, you guys don't know it. One of them is like, you got lucky on that one. That's the only reason that's working. Dude was running OM2 for 10 gig. Like, maybe? RNGesus take the photons, but... Lasers. Hey, Discord scrolls now thanks to Pedro. Pedro fixed it. All by itself.
I just Googled, which is basically fixing it nowadays.
You've done more than I have in the past year. It's been a show. I just accepted it. Scrolling, this is my life now. Okay, fine.
I just get annoyed because I like to, you know, have a game on this screen and have Discord and a bunch of other windows going on here. So if I see more messages are appearing and Discord is not scrolling, it's like... But yeah, the Discord support forum had the answer. It wasn't even, it didn't even have like, this is the answer. No. It was just a post, no bold text, no nothing. It's just, oh yeah, disable the zoom. Just bring the zoom back down to 100%. It's like, why is that?
That's
not
exactly
the
what I
first
said.
result in Google.
That would have never crossed my mind. That is genuinely one of the, how did you break that? In the list of troubleshooting, I would have never got. I understand my chain of like trying stuff that would have never crossed my. I would have never gotten to that. That is one of those. Huh.
It's like when I saw that, it's like, oh, maybe zooming breaks the CSS because the size of the thing is not the same as the size that it's expecting, because it's trying to be clever with the positioning of everything, because let's face it, Discord is just a browser. It's like, maybe? So I did it, and then I went to general disarrays, and it's like, let's test this. And everyone was posting ifs. It's like, oh, look, that's auto-scrolling now.
It works, man. It works. Okay, why do I still have mail open?
I'm very much enjoying the Pine Book a lot more now, Arthur. That I'm not having to fight Manjaro and KDE, not playing ball.
Okay, let me grab something.
I realize
to drink
that that's
and we'll
my
get on it.
problem. All right.
Okay. Hey, Katana. Hi, Romlock.
Okay, Jill, you're the morale czar.
Yes.
Get the morale up, because I need more water.
Okay. Yay! So, Arthur, it's been so fun watching your progress on the Pine phone. Selfish OS. Oh, yeah, that's sweet. I've played with that one before. Yeah, what issues with Wi-Fi? You know what? I think that had problems on my original Nexus phone. Yeah, I think I had problems with Wi-Fi on that one too. Camera isn't working. Yeah, I'm curious to see if LuneOS, the phone part is actually working, because it does now on the OnePlus One. But I'm not sure about the Pine phone, because I don't know anyone who's tested it yet. So I'm looking forward to Arthur testing OpenWebOS.
Yeah, we have 2 people in our Discord who have those that we know of.
Yeah,
so
Sandy just got
Arthur,
his.
Chop chop. Get cracking.
Yeah, Sandy already started with filing bug reports on Thursday.
Yeah.
When he got his.
Yeah, no, I had to open 2 tickets because there were things missing.
Pedro, give me
Cool.
an imager
Arthur.
link to your case mod so I can put that up, because I know you're probably going to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to Imgur and upload them there, because I haven't yet.
And just drop it in Discord. And I'll put it into a browser source.
Let's say images, new post, browse. They should all be pretty recent.
I've never created an Imager account, and I've posted thousands of things. Most of them no titles.
I like to, because I like to every now and then go back. It's like, I know I uploaded that there, so there's still a bunch of Fuduntu screenshots.
Let's see. I
And
definitely
one
have
more
something
image.
for- Oh, right.
That one.
That's for everyone playing the home game. That was me watching Magic Smoke yesterday, but I do have something for Pedro.
Oh, playing with Magic Smoke? Oh, was that the PoE?
Pedro, that roughly translates into... Wait for it. Say it.
That roughly translates to garden slippers.
He was like, isn't that a literal translation? Well, if you're looking at the picture.
But yeah, that's the full album. So you have all 3 pictures there, the before, the after, and just the front panel.
Yeah, so much better, Pedro. You got so much better cooling.
10C lower while gaming. It went from
Wow.
70 to 60. It's like, oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The XFCE,
Yeah.
the screen shooter plugin, shot plugin does that automatically. Yeah, Pedro, that really did lower. You were like almost within like elbow distance of the temperature of my Threadripper. Mm-hmm. Almost. You're gonna have to bring it down just a bit more, but
Yeah, it's, again, I know that motherboard isn't ideal for this processor, which is part of the reason why I'm sort of kind of waiting for the B550s to actually come out and have availability.
Listen
so
to me, man.
price
The
can come
glowing
down.
VRMs save money from having to buy RGBs.
Well, I don't have RGBs, but I do have those green fans, which I hadn't even plugged the little Molex cable for the LEDs to come on. But since I cut out a great big hole out of the front of the case, I had to plug it in.
Yeah, I've taken to buying, in here anyway, Swiss cheese cases. Nothing on the top, nothing on the front. Lots of fans in the back, big ones, 140s. And
Yeah, no, if you look at any of the Carbide series, like this one, I bought it on Amazon Warehouse secondhand for £35. It's a really nice case on.
Yeah.
It's a really nice case on the inside, but the front was just solid. But now it's 65 for one of them. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
I got the 750D from Amazon Warehouse.
Oh, that's the big boy.
It's EATX motherboard. Still got room.
Yeah, it's a full-size tower almost.
And I got it for like 75, 80 bucks off of the Amazon Warehouse because it had serious cosmetic damage. They don't post pictures. It's like, you know what? This thing's going under a desk. This is for the show. We're spending show money on it. I'm not looking at it, so whatever. As long as
Yeah. Let's try it.
So the serious cosmetic damage is there's a scratch on the plexiglass see-through window.
Oh.
I pulled that out.
Oh, someone went in with a knife and went...
I just had a audible hot, so don't care.
Yeah, this one had a gash too on the front panel. And that was very clearly someone who, instead of going in with a knife almost horizontally, not to damage what's inside the box, they went like...
I get to give a plug to, we got the HP, and that's going to be like my little Discord test box for NDI and OBS.
Nice.
The company I ordered it, I've never seen packaging. Like they had sealed form bubble wrap.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
Just perfectly molded for it.
Yeah.
It's like, well done. I kind of wanted to just like drop it, watch it bounce.
Yeah. I've seen packages. I've had computers come with the foam that does that, where they spray it in and it just expands.
Yeah, the expansion.
That's really cool.
This was
Yeah.
sealed, hardened. If you like popping big bubble wrap, man, this would be a jam. Sup, Scoots? All right, $750 for full retail. Still $150, man. This is like one of those cases that you hand down, right? Commercial I've ever seen in a while. A little cartoon story for adults who need to shave. Worse than the insert said, obviously made for children.
Tell your kids.
Uh,
Or no, tell your parents about this company's insurance. And get a free Fortnite skin.
I
You're
just
joking, but that would actually straight up sell.
I straight up get
Aw.
ads for booze.
yeah. Hey, Chipsy. How you doing?
I don't know. At this point, even YouTube has annoyed me to the point where uBlock Origin is on all the time, everywhere.
I have YouTube Red. I also have YouTube Music, which I also got to do the thing where my account, because they're killing that because it's Google, but
Yeah.
I got
I'm
that
glad I
email.
never used that.
I don't either, but I'm just going to go ahead and move it.
Hey, Daisy. Hey, Scott. How you doing?
So, let's go ahead and...
Chipsy.
Oop. Okay. I think everything... We'll find out. I'll look at the,
Nice Linux Gnaroo.
I don't want to get any collisions. I'm trying to avoid collisions.
Yeah.
Also, one of my direct attached copper cables. It's not feeling it, man. I'm only getting 800 megs a second over it.
My brain's just trying to parse the only.
Well, it normally sits at like 999 1.2.
I don't know, did you roll your chair over it, maybe? I don't know. Put a kink in it?
This is a 5 meter DAC cable. Some of you know how thick a 5 meter DAC cable is. If you tried to roll the chair over a 5 meter DAC cable, you'd flip.
Oh, yeah.
Like 1 meter, 3 meter, maybe even to a 3 meter. I don't know what AW gauge you'd be running, but think like cable TV cable. That's a 5 meter.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. No,
So like the good Ethernet noodles.
I don't know if I've seen one that thing.
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple that are even thicker than
We have some
coax.
thick ones at work.
Beta testing. All right, let's rock and roll.
Okay.
Because again, everything at work, like all of the APs are PoE.
Well, that makes sense, man. I mean, that's where you might be able to sell me. I thought about putting a access point just in this room, but like whatever. I'll just use the house Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's stop that. And good to go. If you hear a loud boom during the show, it's because a fan fell off my wall.
Oh, okay.
Because I live in this weird universe where I've attached a fan halfway up my wall. Not very well, mind you. This is just like, I need to see if I can try to keep this camera a bit cooler because it's
yeah. Mm.
Like full-on car radiator-sized fan.
no, this is that Opolar. So
Oh.
Oh, yeah. That little one you showed off.
if it's bigger than the little one. This is like a.
Mm.
It's too big. Well, you might want to put it on a desk, but it'd blow your hair back.
Oh, okay.
I need one of those right there.
But they're very, very quiet. Okay, we're live. We're recording. So let's get into it with the shot. It's lined up. It's good. In 3, 2. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, and talk about some of the stranger things, the weirder things, possibly just the fun things we
You're
found
just tempting them now.
going on
Yes.
in Linux and open source. Hey, everyone. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Joe Bryant and Pedro Montes. And everybody at home, man. What's new? What's going on? Pedro, I know you were threatening to... I don't think you were threatening. You were just sitting around. You were having that thing people get after a certain amount of time of like, I need to destroy something beautiful.
Oh.
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And, well, it got to a point where my 3700X was getting a bit too toasty. The T-die was crossing north of 70 Celsius while gaming, and that was not
Did you
acceptable.
open the case? And you're
No.
like, wait a minute, are you an Intel CPU? No.
No, I kept sensors on, and I was looking at like the rest, like the most of the cores. It's like, oh, 38, 40, 40 something. All right, T-die 70 is like, no, can't have that. No, got to do something about it. So I went to look at the like maybe get a new case, one with better ventilation. They're all stupidly expensive, like every single bit of IT equipment right now. So it's like, wait a second, I have a Dremel. So I took a Dremel to the front of my case. And that's what it used to look like.
This gorgeous case that,
Black
engineered, well built. And here comes Sir Haxalot. And
That's what it looks like now.
Oh, it turned out nice, Pedro. I like it.
The cut wasn't perfect because I'm not that handy for a big scale project like that with the Dremel. So there's a couple of chunks of extra plastic that shouldn't have been missing that are, but nothing a little bit of Gorilla Tape around the edge of the whole thing doesn't fix. And yeah, it does a very good job of getting air into the case, straight through to the GPU and the CPU. And while gaming, instead of 70, it hits 60 now.
okay, so
Nice.
you're using tape. What you need to look for is window molding sealant.
Or liquid gasket. I thought about that too.
Well,
very good.
Stay away from like the variable viscous fluid that you have to wait to harden. That is like nice, and I used to use that all the time when I was making holes inside the computers in the mid to late 90s. I'm like, oh look, I'm doing a plexiglass window, and just and put it on. It's gonna brilliant. It's
Side window hipster.
You were right, Mom. It was a phase.
Oh,
What's
we
new
all
with you,
go
Joe?
through the case modding phase. Oh, well, I got this new bright pink pop filter for my mic, and now it's on the mic and not external, so I can see better, which is nice.
Bright pink, you said.
It is actually pink. It's almost the same color as the chair, but it's showing a little more red on the camera. But it is actually a very pink color.
So what color is the pink chair then?
It's more like a magenta color. It's got more blue in it. Where the mic muff has a little bit more red in it than blue. So that's why it comes across as a little red, but it is actually pink. So and I've also been having fun going through the game demos I downloaded in the Steam Summer Game Festival last week. That's been a lot of fun. Found a lot of really cool games that way, and I'm looking forward to Steam and Valve doing that again because that was awesome. Found lots of good new games. Yay!
Right on. I've been playing with a bunch of stuff. Right before the show, the UPS guy, I know I got my little text alert, building a little test NDI box for some stuff here at the studio, and I want to that's just video over your network. So I don't want to use the capture card. I can use that as the ambassador for NDI on Linux, because if you search for NDI on Linux, you end up on the NDI webpage where they're like, here, Vin tells you how to do it. We don't know. I want to play around more with that, and it should give us a capacity to add more people to the shows live easier, so we can bring in people and bring them out. Like I said, this is early days. This thing just showed up. I haven't cut it on yet. But what else do I have? Oh, yeah, I still got to put Debian on. Like I said, got to do that.
Yeah.
OM1, OM2, OM3, OM4. I'm going to be showing people Probably next week, I'm going to get a video together about how to do budget, like 10 gig fiber and direct attached copper in your house. Because, man, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube. Man, you got lucky on that. There's no way that, okay. You also, the YouTuber knowledge.
Okay.
It's frightening. And I only say that as somebody with a duffel bag of optical transceivers from a past life. I'll give you a little education on it and how to do it. It's kind of fun. It'll be interesting. But let's get into something that I found very interesting. So much so, I made a guide for it. This is part of my Interfacing Linux series. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
A lot of people are like, man, I want to play with DaVinci Resolve. I'm like, that's cool. But I got on my gaming video and I can't import it. And you're like, you know what? That's right. Because it's very unfortunate that MPEG 4 doesn't work with the free version of DaVinci Resolve on Linux. So step one is to spend real-time conversion, maybe an hour or however long you recorded, waiting for that video to transcode into like DNX HD. Well, you could record in DNX HD. You can right now with the current version of OBS that you have, but OBS is probably going to crash. The video is going to be bad. It's going to say media offline. You're going to get flashy red flames and all that fun stuff. The latest versions of OBS for Linux have fixed that. So it is something you can do now. So you can record directly in OBS. Take that with your free version of DaVinci Resolve to play with. And DNX HD, import it right in. You're going to have your audio, you're going to have your video, and you can figure out if that's something that you want to tango with. So answering that question, there it is. Mm-hmm. It's nice and simple. You will have to build OBS from source. Now, thinking ahead, if you're a patron, I dropped that on our Patreon page. I just released a preview video of this is how you compile OBS from source with a working browser that doesn't crash on Linux. I found a little hack to make that work. So that's just a bonus soda I like to throw out. I think that'll go live for everyone Friday when I finish the guide. But yeah, that's the thing I made. Hopefully that'll be helpful to somebody.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm being stared at.
Lots of podcasters.
I don't expect videos from either of you. Maybe Jordan. What's up next?
Up next, we have Braver. And if you're looking at that logo thinking, that looks a lot like the Privacy Badger.
Nope, that's a lion.
I'm sure that was intentional. Yeah. Because Braver is a browser that basically takes what Brave is doing and removes all of the crypto credit quote-unquote features or the embedded quote-unquote privacy-respecting ads that it does. And it's basically just, well, it's just Blink. It's just Chromium. That's basically what they did. They took Brave, took Chromium, and removed all the Google bits and put their own monetization in, and decided that let's let people share on the monetization by giving them if they watch ads, they get social credit. Because that's what that is. And
you know something
then
stranger than that? People genuinely use those because
oh yeah,
like the bat thing. I mean, use them. I went to log in. What is this bat thing? And this has been probably a year ago.
Yeah.
And I had billions of bat tokens, which I don't think there was any way or purpose or time to convert. It might have been like 30 cents or something. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I was like, people actually use that.
Most of it, there are some sites that you can redeem those tokens for, say, Netflix 1 month passes or literally anything that would often require you to pay money on the internet. That was the idea behind it. But, the idea of forcefully building in ads and tracking stuff and an entire crypto mining system into a browser it made me not want to play with it. And I guess the braver people didn't want to play with it either.
This seems like installing Chromium with a bunch of extra steps thrown in, Pedro.
You're probably better off in Chromium, yeah. But if you don't want either the Google bits or the Brave specific bits, but you are, want to be conscious about the privacy and whatnot.
That's one of the things I don't get, because Vivaldi and Brave, they've both done like their own take on like the UI, and just being honest, that's the first thing. Can I cut all this nonsense off? I need you to be a browser. Come on, little buddy.
Yeah.
Just open web pages. That's all we need. That's the end of our transaction.
Oh.
Which is why I'm starting to like Firefox more and more.
Well, I think this is a really cool fork, because Brave is actually a zippy browser, and it feels a lot faster than Chromium. So Brave minus ads and crypto should be even faster. And actually, this is very similar to the ungoogled Chromium browser we talked about a few weeks ago. But instead of removing Google Web Services, it is removing the pay-to-surf features from the Brave browser. And I think this is a really cool project. And Braver is looking for contributors. So make sure to help out. It's really an awesome project.
I'm down more options. It's good. I mean, what we're all secretly waiting for impatiently is finally...
something that's not Chrome, please.
Yes, Internet Explorer.
Exactly.
Edge.
Yeah, Edge is Chrome.
Yeah.
Vivaldi is Chrome.
Chromium.
Yeah, and that was a line, Pedro. Come on. Gnome Shell. Oh, look. Pedro's about to lovingly explain why Gnome Shell and Mutter are awesome, because being the gnome fan and he is.
I wouldn't go that far, but I will say that on June 19th, Tobias Bernard, one of the GNOME developers, decided to share a very high-level overview of the roadmap that GNOME are going to try and follow for the foreseeable future, which he starts off by going, it's like, oh, when we introduced it in 2010, and he skims a bit about the whole bit about people hating it, and just goes like, oh, we had some hurdles, and we had to iterate very quickly in those few days. Like, yeah, wonder why that was. But he makes some good points. GNOME 3, the way that it was first implemented, it was distraction free. The other word for that would be bare bones, because there was nothing
this is
there.
Pedro, I like having to search for every time I want to open a thing.
Yeah,
that's the other bit. It's like, oh, just search. It's like our search is all encompassing. Everything in the desktop and the settings, anything that you have bookmarked in the browser or a window that you have open in the browser, you can search for it there. It's like, there's something to be said when it comes to UI design.
Now, here's the thing.
If you
here's
have
a real question.
to
now,
search,
if it's something that you typically use, can't you drag that over to that little bar thing they have on the left?
You can right-click and pin it to the favorites.
Yeah. So you don't have to search for it anymore.
So that is very helpful. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah,
it starts off with nothing.
Yeah.
So if you have to search for everything, and that is actually one of the weak points that they acknowledge, it's like, yeah, when you just started, there's nothing there, and that's not cool, because it forces everyone to have to use the search, because someone who's just come into GNOME, they're not gonna know. They don't know what you were thinking when you designed the UI, so they have to use the search. So you made a whole desktop environment that's completely pointless because everyone's using the search.
Out of the box, you have, I would say it's a web browser, maps, clock, an editor of some sorts, and possibly Sudoku.
The bottom thing is actually the drawer that contains all the apps, Android style.
Yeah. Well, the interface has improved visually, and GNOME Shell is so much faster, and I'm enjoying it more and more these days. But the app grid paradigm has always bothered me a bit. As a user that prefers traditional menu, the app grid seems disorganized and app discovery difficulty. And yes, you have to do lots of searching. And I don't like that there are several pages of apps to scroll through. It's very similar to the reasons why I don't like Mac OS. So, you do
full
get
screen
used to
everything.
everything.
And then
Yeah.
switch workspaces instead of switching windows. It's like, oh, welcome to, when was it?
yes.
2003?
Exactly. And you do get used to it, but it's still a very cumbersome experience for me. And honestly, I just wish there was a way to satisfy the needs of traditional menu users with that of the grid layout. I am all for it because there are some advantages to the grid layout. So I could see a nice combination of the two being an improvement. or giving
It works
just the
well
option.
with a tablet.
Yeah, it does
You would
actually
think.
on touch.
Yeah, big icons. It's like, ooh,
What Pedro meant to say is it looks like it would work well on it. It doesn't. Ask me how I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some good experience with GNOME on a tablet.
You're also
Gnome
incapable
Shadow.
of providing a lot of criticism, so I mean,
Yeah, but
that's
I
why
am
I'm
right
here.
now. Oh,
literally
I'm doing it in a
throwing them
nice
under
way.
the bus.
I'm doing it in a nice way.
I don't know. I mean, it's Gnome. This is Gnome's thing. I'm not going to ever
Yeah.
waste time and energy going because the community's been doing it for well over a decade of like, we don't like this. And I'm just like, use something else, I'm down
Yeah.
with that. They're like, this is our
Yeah.
vision. This is how we're going
Yes.
to rock and roll with it.
Understand.
Deal with it.
You can
But,
just use classic
you know-
GNOME or,
You can use Mate. You can use Sediment. You can
exactly
You
what
could
I'm
use
using
a
right now.
productive
Mate.
desktop, a
Matai.
superior, the best desktop known to all of Civil. You could use XFC is what I'm saying. I'm completely unbiased because that's only what I use. But I can't wait for that feedback. Somebody didn't listen to that last little part that they're going to catch it was being, self-referent. Like, oh, you're just, oh, wait.
I
Aw.
like how the GNOME developers did not learn the lesson from KDE 4 because, KDE 3 and GNOME 2 were the two big ones.
Mhm.
And then KDE 4 came out and it was basically GNOME 2. It's like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
And then GNOME 3 comes out. It's like, well, I wonder if KDE 4 has gotten any better.
Gnome 2, I used that for a few minutes because, like, this
Yeah.
kind of works. I'm down with this. Then, ooh. But hey,
Yeah.
Yeah,
some people like it. Good. It's all about choice. So
exactly.
I'm not going to hate on something I don't use because you can go use something else. And if you like it, go use that. Unless you're a
Yes.
hipster that likes to look
Cool.
at your disk
can-
usage in your terminal while writing your fixie. And it's very unsafe to do that because you could fall off your fixie and like damage your laptop, which you shouldn't have open while writing on your fixie, you hipster.
Strider, close your laptop.
Wait,
but
are you trying to say somebody? It's like I almost felt that I felt attacked.
I don't know. He's been quiet in Discord lately,
You're
so
gonna
I
get
figured
a
I'd
Surface
poke him a
Book
little bit.
thrown inside of your head in a minute, man.
But yeah, this is Disconaut. Much like astronauts investigate astros, this one investigates your disk. It's just a command line. It's got a at least I want to say perceptible UI because each folder is spaced out and laid out according to its size. It does a sort of a Fibonacci
Mhm.
spiral of sorts. And you have the biggest one, and then they start getting progressively smaller until they get to a point where you run out of space in your terminal and you get those X's on the side of the terminal there. Those are the small files. And I would like an option, because I did give this a go, I would like an option to, it's like, okay, I want to see the smaller files. Let me select the X's, but it doesn't. But when I first started reading, it's like, oh, how does it work? Given a path on your hard drive, it scans and maps it to memory so that you could explore its contents while it's still scanning. It's like, wait a second. It maps everything to memory, that's going to nom all the RAM like immediately. So what did I do? I downloaded the release. I put the executable on my Steam Games SSD, and I did disco space dot. Oh, well, that didn't nom all the RAM. It's just indexing everything to memory so that you can browse very, very quickly and get
I've been
to
trying
places.
to tell you, man, for years. You need to upgrade to like 8 gigs.
Oh,
I do have 16, but when it comes to, say, Chrome, that don't mean much.
Yeah, that's another issue. That's called using tabs as bookmarks. But I launched it on Debian 10, downloaded it, tried it, launched it, moved some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's stuff on a drive. Okay. Then I got back on my fixie and wrote home.
yes.
I was just disappointed it didn't, consume all my RAM.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's so funny, and Pedro made me think of this. Disconaut is kind of like the golden rectangle of file management or file size management. So I used a cargo install Disconaut on Ubuntu, and it worked great. And my largest size folder is Steam, of course. Most of us out there, it's Steam here at Linux Gamecast. And but it's really cool. It's an interactive graphical representation of file sizes and folders in CLI, and it reminds me a lot of. And I was trying to remember the name of the software GUI called X Disk Usage, but with minus the ability that didn't have the ability to delete files and folders. So, but Disconaut has been pretty cool. I was really impressed by it.
That's cool. It's a thing. It's there. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, like disk usage for me, I'm old school with I have a hard drive. They're dedicated for purposes. So,
That's usually the best way to do it.
I don't, especially
not very effective, but it works.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very effective when you're dealing with
efficient, not effective. Efficient. That was the word I was looking for.
No, I couldn't hear you over my ineffectiveness, Pedro.
Look, my brain isn't effective, right? Especially in this heat.
Touche. Krita has a new release.
Yeah, it does. So Krita 4.3.0 has been released with lots of new features and bug fixes. There's actually a whole new set of brush presets that are great for painting in watercolors. And you can now adjust the opacity and lightness on colored brush tips separately, which is really been a much needed utility. And one of my favorite things is now it has multi-monitor setup support. You can have the canvas on one screen and the tools and settings on the other by going to the window menu and clicking new window. And that was a really
mode. Okay.
Yeah. yes, it does. So it was really nice on my big 3-monitor system here. So I had the canvas in front of me and the tools on either side. And that worked beautifully. And one of the other pieces of exciting news in this release is that the Android and Chrome OS beta for ARM and Intel of Krita has been released. It's still very beta. Not everything works yet, and of course, Krita works better with keyboard and mouse. But they're working on that, and touchscreen support is very good in Krita. So it's coming, and that was really, really cool to be able to test it out. Awesome.
Krita is definitely an interesting piece of kit. I've, but I say fortunately not had the need to use it. So I'm doing something right in my life. But I still end up having to use Inkscape occasionally. So I'm also, maybe I'll definitely look into that. I think one of the biggest issues with Krita is it doesn't inspire me to eat butterflies.
Well, it is a painting program, and it assumes you have an artistic background to use it.
Well, I mean, I want to be inspired to eat butterflies when I'm using painting projects.
Well, yes, yes, very good, man. So Yes, he's speaking of Photo GIMP. This is a simple patch for GIMP 2.10 plus new versions to make GIMP look like Photoshop and to make it easier for Photoshop users to use GIMP. And there have been several of these in the
It's
past.
got a flat pack. Good.
Yeah, but it's got
It only
it's got
works
a flat
with flat
pack.
packs.
Correct.
This patch is just for the flat pack version of GIMP.
Yeah. And, the tools are organized in the same position as in Photoshop, and keyboard shortcuts are similar to Photoshop. But one of the big differences between this and some of the previous GIMP shop and extensions before this one is that there's hundreds of new fonts that are included, which is really awesome and helps from having to hunt for them. And it's just really nice to have a lot more fonts in the GIMP, because a lot of people coming from Photoshop are used to having a lot of fonts or fonts they've bought. So, and at least these ones, most of them are open source. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and I used to tell people to install GIMP PS, which was
Yes.
it was just GIMP Photoshop. It was a theme that came with the Photoshop icons and changed the layout so you would only have the tools on the left side and everything else on the right, with the work area in the middle. And for a while there, I stopped recommending that to people because it no longer worked when GIMP 2.10 came out. Turns out someone actually went out of their way and forked the Git and the install script. It basically pulls down everything and changes the config files to make GIMP automatically have the same layout as Photoshop. And it doesn't do like keyboard shortcuts. Those stay the same as they are in GIMP. So if you want those, you're going to have to do them yourself. But it works.
It does work, yeah.
And it works with the non-flatpak version too, which is nice.
Yeah.
I spent 13 years using GIMP in multiple windows. It's too late for me.
So yeah, now you got to break them up into multiple windows.
Just run it in mobile mode. I don't use the Photoshop altogether mode. I'm like, oh, that's a silly mode. That's cute. That's for people with one monitor.
But this is really
cool.
cool.
The one really expensive color calibrated sRGB 4 monitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Aww.
I'm just gonna go eat some more butterflies, man.
Oh yeah.
It is a bit of an unfortunate picture.
Let's talk about RescueZilla, man. What is it? It's an actively developed fork of the Redo Backup and Recovery Project. That's right, 64 bits of awesome that hopefully you never have to use, but you should absolutely be familiar with it. Now, this is just an update. This is a rescue thumb drive. You used to call them rescue CDs, maybe a rescue floppy if you're ancient, but this now has support for booting on EFI-only machines. Basically something made in the last decade. Good on you. Is this going to be useful, Jill?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play with it yet, but I think it'll be very useful. I'm actually used to using gparted live to back up individual disk partitions using part image. But RescueZilla does back up the whole hard drive, which is really convenient. And it's supposed to be similar to CloneZilla. So I think this can come in real handy.
They do make the claim that they have made CloneZilla and System Rescue CD easy to use. It's like, bold claim there, Cotton. Bold claim.
I'm more confused by anyone ever in the history of ever having an issue using CloneZilla. I'm like, that's the Legos of backup and restore.
Yeah.
Again, what did you do exactly to make them easier to use? You make a GUI for it? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, man.
Because
I got a
they're
mascot.
pretty easy to use. That's it. It's like, okay, there's CLI tools. Ooh. But, no.
Paige just like laughs in DD.
Yeah.
I've been using it a lot lately.
Do you know?
Hi there, Pine Book. How you doing?
That's all I do to drives, man. Is I just snapshot and I get an ISO and like boop and plop that back on in case of emergency. But most of the times, like all the boxes in here, man, I don't even bother with that. You know, I have home directories, I have config files like shoved up on Google Drive because it takes like 8 minutes to install Debian. I'm like, why not? Let's just put it back on.
Yeah.
And,
all the important documents are backed up in 3 different places. So even if the whole system dies, like, well, that's going to be an entire day of rebuilding.
I've said the first half of that. But it was very much like a Jack Nicholson smile yeah, here's Johnny mood when it's like yeah, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be brilliant. But let that not be the last we speak of USB solutions on Linux.
Yeah. So this is a really cool utility that that us podcasters who do a lot of distro testing, this really makes it handy. This is Ventoy. It's an open source tool to create a bootable USB drive from multiple, yes, ISO files. You just run the Ventoy script to a flash drive, and then you can copy many ISO files at a time using command line or your favorite file manager. And Ventoy will boot with a boot menu to select them. And this is a big deal because a lot of the other options out there don't have, drag and drop ability for the ISOs, and you have to format the disks, and it can be really complicated if you want to boot multiple distros. And
you basically have to reflash the whole thing. It's like, I want to add just one more OS.
Every time.
The whole thing.
Every time. And it also supports legacy BIOS as well as UEFI. And some of them don't support UEFI very well right now. So this is UNet booting. Yeah.
Ooh, shade.
Yeah. But I love UNet booting anyways. But yes, you can even boot not just from Linux ISOs, but any disk operating system you would like, including Windows 10. It automatically boots Windows 10. So there you go.
Having a Swiss Army boot stick's probably not a bad idea. You can keep everything on one drive, so when you lose it, it's all gone at one time. I mean, it's very efficient.
I mean, that's a good way to stop people from doing it.
Yeah. And I just because I have, literally over 50 flash drives that I use for testing distros from everywhere from LWW to Big Daddy Linux to Destination Linux and some of the other shows that I go on. And it's nice just to have one flash drive, then I can copy all those ISOs too. It saves money, it saves time, it's quicker, it's really nice.
Yeah, back in the day when I was effectively doing the distro hopping, 2009, 2010-ish.
Yeah.
That would have been very helpful back then.
Yeah,
very, very helpful.
So now on LWW going forward, it just makes it a lot easier for us to test distros.
I don't test distros, by the way. I'm getting lumped into this.
Me and Pedro do that.
Yeah. I gotta get
have a bunch of laptops that I want to,
yes,
play with.
We put our distros on all our machines. So
I'm too busy actually doing stuff. But coming up next, libNDI. It's fun, so let's use it, kids. What is it? You've never heard of it? Well, NDI is a great piece of kit if you want to transfer. You don't want to use capture cards or anything like that. You can send it over a gigabit network, and it looks really good. Doesn't require a lot of horsepower. Basically, if you got a box that can stream a little bit of overhead, you can use libNDI at home, and it's fun, I guess. I don't know. Man, the goal for this project is to provide a way to interact with NDI streams without requiring the use of non-open source software, basically the SDK provided by NewTek. It's nice in alpha right now, though, so you want to keep that in mind. There's a lot left to do. But it only supports receiving right now, so you could be sending through a source like OBS Browser, not OBS Browser, but the OBS NDI plugin, and send it over your network to another computer. This will pick it up. It'll do that. I want to see more of this developed. I want more people to play with it because, there's like, I won't use it unless it's completely open source. And I use a lot of stuff that's not open source because that's not a hill I'm going to die on because we're still working on. Let's get Linux adopted. Take your gatekeeping nonsense, over there for now. We'll get to that in a minute. I love reverse engineering. And that's what this guy's doing, man. So he's just working it back, and it's kind of brilliant. I want to play with it. What I really want to see is and I'd like it from New Tech if they would release it. Something to the Windows equivalent to where NDI, you could create a virtual cam that you could send to. Like, let's say I needed exactly what I'm doing with you, Pedro and Jordan, or not Pedro and Jordan, Jill and Jordan. You don't get to be Jordan, and that'll be Jordan Saturday.
Different,
do a take 3 on
different
that?
person.
No, I was just cutting you off, man, because Jill was going to be like, "Oh, I get to be Jordan now." I'm like, "No."
No, we take turns.
And what I got to do to get the return video back, so we can interact with each other, is that's got to go through a capture card that sends that out over HDMI splitters, which comes into 2 other capture cards in these boxes. What I'd like is just to be able to send an NDI source out to both of these boxes over the network and use a V4L2 loopback device and just tie that in directly. I know it's possible. You just have to build FFmpeg with NDI support. Then you got to set up, you got to do the right FFmpeg incantations. I'm not going to bore you with all that. You get over the network, then you create a loopback device. Then you could put that in to something that Chrome can pick up. Ask me how I know. I've tried this out, but man, there's no way to automate this. So that's what I'd like to see. There's something to work on. That's cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
What are your thoughts on this, Pedro? I can tell that you were engrossed by.
No, I was thinking of the way of actually automating that, but it's possible. I don't have the necessary knowledge to know how to do it, but I know that it can be done. Someone smarter than me required.
I can show you how to do it, Pedro. It's very easy to do, but this is... Go look at NDI, especially if you're thinking about setting up a dual stream system. I would love to have everything on the network because then you don't need HDMI cables. Like, I've already moved all of our audio to network, and all those cables, I have a closet just gone. I don't have to deal with that anymore. It's 1 or 2 ether noodles. So good work with it. Hey, if you want to finance some of the shenanigans, the Frankenstein labs, some of the Ventec that rolls out of the studio, the weird, strange, bizarre things we like to make Linux do, you can head over to patreon.com and be one of the fantastic, sparkly people that help support it. That's patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. We got a gang of levels, all 6 levels. It's kind of brilliant. Why?
It's not a very big gang, but it's a gang.
Yeah.
Okay, sweetness. I need to know more about your gang dynamic theory and what qualifies as a gang.
I suppose 2 people qualify it as a gang?
Yeah.
That's a polite way of going, I was just making stuff up, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not a very big gang, but it's a gang.
We're more than a gang. We're a community. So.
Gang.
Cult.
We get another thing.
Yes.
We are technically a cult because we're not tax exempt. Once we get tax exempt, we'll no longer be a cult. We got a wish zone for all the stuff in the studio. If you do that, you end up back here on this wall. We will shame you each and every week. Plus, if you pick up anything on our wish zones for myself, Pedro, Jill, or Jordan, we have to read a note that you send us. Do with that what you will. It's one of the dumbest ideas we've ever came up with.
I'm kind of surprised that no one's really gone ham yet.
Oh, well, it'll never make it past post. That's like one of the issues. Also, it'd be cool if you want to swing into our Discord. That's where we're hanging out the other 6 days of the week. We're actually in there, man. We're chatting, we're going back and forwards and doing all that stuff. Plus, yeah, that's that. Keep being awesome. Thanks for letting us do this. Now, 'tis the season.
Pumpkin pie.
It's a little early yet, but it's getting closer. It's not quite Halloween yet, or fall. Just start of summer.
So U.S. centric. Australia would like a word. Hipster pie. Go back in time
Yes.
for the Raspberry Pi powered radio. Look at that. 1980s, my delete expletive. No. that's not the 1980s. Not even by a little bit. Unless we're talking about the genre of music. You can make it play because Alex created a radio time machine. It covers 10 decades of music from the 20s up to the 2020s. Basically, there's a Reddit post with a build build instructions, all that fun stuff in there. Not much to it, man. A Pi 4, which you probably get away with like a Pi 0 with this. Some RGBs, get a button. You got vintage Bluetooth radio, which... Really? Okay.
Basically, it's just the housing. You just get literally any Bluetooth speaker housing that'll fit a Raspberry Pi, and the Arduino bits. You're good.
I love that people do stuff like this, but just there's a huge chunk of my brain going, why?
Aw. Well, it's cool. They actually did a really nice job with the playlists for each decade. Like, I like the 80s one had lots of jazzercise, which I used to have to dance to years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know moppity was a thing, or mopity, since it only has the one P. But yeah,
Mopity.
no, that seems interesting. It can pull music from your local library as well as like Last FM, Spotify, everything else basically.
Yeah.
And you could just make a playlist out of that. It's very nice.
I applaud both of you on being able to get past the fact that they're vintage US Bluetooth radios.
Yeah.
I pulled over at that point. I'm like, what?
Ven, as the hipster of this community, you should know about those things.
Yeah. I mean, Ven, I do have a tube radio in the house, but it's too big and too heavy for me to show it to you right now. So.
But you can put a Raspberry Pi in it.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't know. When I think about like Bluetooth headsets, I was like, can we get a Bluetooth 8-track player?
Yeah, those do exist actually, and cassette players. I've looked into
I was
them.
going to say I wouldn't be surprised if that existed, but there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, some people have taste. Then again, some people don't. So.
You're the ones listening to this.
Oh no, that was directly at you, Pedro. Not the. I don't want any confusion.
Deflection.
Tell them where they can send their tasty hot takes.
Yes, you can send us your hot takes by literally brandishing a branding iron and poking us in the butt, or preferably, please, oh god, go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button, and fill out the form. Make sure your feedback goes to LWDW on the little show box, because if not, well, you might get a very foul-mouthed reply for that Saturday hot mail. Hot mail?
No.
Hate mail.
Hot
Hate mail.
I'm a hot
Aw.
mail right now, but that's because I'm very, very warm.
Here on LWW, it's love mail, not hate mail.
From now on, it will only be referred to as pain mail on this show. So saith the one-eyed pop filter. We are not to question it.
Yes, you lost
The
an eye,
Cyclop
Pedro.
It's
We
the
know-
Cyclop filter.
We know not of its mysterious ways, only its power and its vengeance. Nay, be the one. Check it out, man. This one kind of rolled around. I threw this in, then I already had this story
So cool.
in before this showed
Yeah.
up, but I just wanted to go ahead and Aram wrote back, and he's like, "Oh man, hey, I'm an open source developer, and in the past, you reviewed one of my applications, Bandwidth."
Yes.
Which I got that far. I was like, oh no, this could really go one of two ways. So since I remember you liked it, nice. I thought you might be interested in the new application I just released, Disconaut. Hey, buddy.
Yay!
It was already in the notes, but let's just go ahead and put a bow on it. I personally think it's very cool, though I might be a little biased. Nah.
A little bit.
Not really. Not if you're like me, man. I hate everything. I might be like, get out of there. I don't ever want to see you again. And I'm looking to get it to a wider audience. If you like it and or would like to review it, that would be great. But hey, I think we all installed it. We all used it.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 out
And
of
I'm
3
going
is
to
not
continue
bad,
to
right?
use it. Yeah, and his previous app Bandwidth was the network monitoring, real-time network monitoring on the CLI, and that was really awesome. We did really like it. So thank you for the mail, Aram.
Which Bandwidth is actually on the NAS. And if I have to SSH
Yes.
in there for any reason, it comes on.
Yay!
That's one of those, man, it's like, yeah, something's broke. That's one of those, yeah, something's broke SSH commands. I'm like, okay. I don't even have a key for this box. Jeez, that's when you know you're typing in a password.
Yeah, no, that was a cheap micro ATX case from eBay, and the TFX power supply that I already had. Ended up having to buy a different motherboard because I'd fried the other one. But yeah, it's still working. 2-month uptime now, so we'll see if it breaks.
It's a phase. He will get out of it, but
It's a NAS. It's supposed to be on, and it idles at 3 watts.
you can set timers to cut it off when you're doing things like, I don't know, being unconscious in the house.
I pay the same all through the year, electricity-wise. So,
I forgot one of those sweet deals. It was this is completely off the topic. Be careful with your power consumption. Just like it's good for everybody. That money's always a factor, but it's just not. Don't walk around the house.
Apartment too.
Dual wielding blow dryers.
Yeah. Here in Cali, if you're not using it, you keep it off. That's just what we do here.
So
I turn everything else off. The NAS is the only thing that stays running through the night.
Yeah, of course.
nope, I don't even do that anymore.
Actually, I haven't ran a server in ages and kept it on 24 hours. I used to back in the day, but
don't
not
worry,
anymore.
you make up for it with all of your vintage power sucking devices. That
I
are horribly
do,
inefficient.
yes.
Yeah, you're like,
do, yes.
don't worry. With all things, there's balance. Cut this.
Yeah.
out. Jeez.
Yeah,
That's true.
Jill turns on one of her vintage systems, and it's like, why is this sucking 20 kilowatts? Oh, okay.
Kilowatts.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave that alone. We got to get up here, everyone. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you next week. It's gonna be brilliant. All right, we're gonna roll some credits. Let's do it.
Yay. Aw. So much fun.
Hi, Netflix. You sent me another thing that I disputed, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Come at me.
Again.
So
They really
you
want our
were
business.
poking them. Okay, yeah.
I know it's still a bot. Man, I just come on, fight me. That's what I'm saying. It will be great for viewership to take Netflix to court.
Think you could get Leonard French?
Possibly.
Oh.
Because I'm sure he'd love one of them cases.
Be awesome. Wow. LWW 228. Amazing.
Oh, yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
See, you think about it sometimes, and you're just like, nah, let that one go.
I Arthur, 3 dudes and 1 dudette. Yes.
Arthur cannot count.
2 dudes and 1 dudette on LWW. But you know, Jordan's always just behind me. And his ghost is in this room.
Yeah, no, I have seen pictures of the 2 of you in the same room, so
Yes.
you can't be the same person.
All right, we are on. And... That's good.
Do, do, do.
All right, so we got about 8 minutes to chill out.
Okay.
We made it through a show and stick that together. Then I get to go play with this HP. Night. You would enjoy that, wouldn't you, Pedro?
What? I was reading the other Discord now.
Sometimes it's fun. It's a hobby of mine. I know I shouldn't do it. A better person would feel bad about what I just did. Again, a better person would. Not me. I'll do it again.
I keep getting mentions in the Soapbox Racing World, one of the servers that I play on. Because my Mazda 3, every now and then, someone posts the screenshots like, this guy's gotta be cheating. It's like, just open the parts list on that car. It's like, oh.
Wait. Yeah, it turns out that this pink pop filter is finally available on Newegg. I was waiting for it for ages. That's why I got this from China. And it's very,
send me a
very...
link to it right now.
Okay.
Just drop it in Discord.
Okay.
I want to see.
Okay.
Now, what I was saying to you, Pedro, is you enjoy dicking around with the computers still, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten that out of my system.
I do. That's part of the reason why I put El Cheapo together. But I've basically reached the point that I can do nothing more to this PC that I haven't already done it.
Oh boy. That's
So
a
I've
link.
been asking people around here. Ooh.
Yeah. I'm
I've been
sorry.
asking- Been asking the people around me, it's like, do you want a 6-core Core i7 5820K with an RX 570 and 16 gigs of DDR4 quad channel memory and a cheap Chinese motherboard? It's yours for cheap.
So yeah, Ben, I could not find a large one for my big mic that was pink. This is the only one I could find that was pink in a larger form factor. You can find plenty of pink pop filters for the smaller mics, but not for the bigger ones. And I wanted pink so it matches my chair. So I actually wanted a lighter pink, but it's actually a very beautiful magenta. Now this one says it's red, but it isn't. So this one is clearly is actually pink. Why would they?
Someone closed the wrong tab.
Sorry about that. I used the wrong browser to browse. So... do.
Wi-Fi hard noobs the entire phone. I mean, that's why you got it though, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the Pine phone, the Pine Book Pro, that's a problem box, but you buy it because it's a fun little
It's a
problem
toy.
box. Yeah. Like, I wonder if I can
That's
get this
straight up
working.
why I bought it.
You straight up want something, you want to recapture the, ooh, I got something to do this weekend.
Yes. It's like, this is broken, this isn't working, how can I fix?
Do.
Well, yeah. Makes it on hold.
What about UB ports? Ubuntu Touch. Have you tried that, Arthur?
Find out how many writes you can do to the eMMC.
It's not as bad as, you know, the SD card modules that they used to be based off of, but
it's probably
it's
not
still
as
not very
bad
good.
as like UEFIs, man. Don't look at how many write cycles you get to that. You'll never update your BIOS. You're like, you know what? Nah, I don't even want to save anything.
Yeah, no, that motherboard hasn't seen an update in a long time. I was hoping there would be one magical update that would let me use the 3600 RAM at 3600, but no. 3200's best you could do. CL16, 3200, but that's the best you could do.
So I need to go back and edit around 2.
Always on Bluetooth. Oh, that was a thing. I hadn't plugged in, like, physically plugged in the Steam controller in a long time. So, last time I was playing a game on the Steam box, I didn't know where the other rechargeable batteries were. So I just grabbed the cable, plugged it in. It's like, there's an update for your Steam controller's firmware. It's like, oh.
That's always fun, isn't it? Like, I didn't know we needed to bring firmware into this.
Apparently, it's just a fix for the Bluetooth functionality. It makes it work reliably and introduces low power mode, which is very good.
I don't even. Allegedly, hang on. It's childproof. Nope, I don't have batteries. I think about updating the firmware, and right up until it's like, you need to plug it in. I'm like, well, we both know that's not happening, Steve, so let's just skip that conversation.
Okay, here's the actual one I bought then. It was from eBay. I kept thinking it was AliExpress, but it was eBay.
Furry wind.
Yeah.
Furry wind.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to Chinesium descriptions,
Yeah, I know.
There used to be a website in the early days. It was English.com. I don't know if it's still around or not. But it's like poorly translated stuff to English. It was so funny.
Yes.
More than one instance of Portuguese menus in Portuguese restaurants who, you know, which were translated to English by people who weren't entirely sure what those things would translate to. It's funny.
you got to stack that with the every possible keyword that remotely could be related to the project in the description. That's when it gets hilarious. AliExpress is great for that. Like, you have like 4 paragraphs.
Yes.
What did you order? Wire cutter.
Plastic snipper wire cutter thing. Cutting tool. Like all of the, instead of tags, it's in the title.
Also, I'm going to give everybody a pro tip. If you're buying fiber optics cabling from Amazon because, hey, it's Amazon, whatever, you know, you might even pay, you're going to pay a little bit extra, but you know what? Something's broken. It's like, Amazon's broken. Like, keep that one. We'll ship you another one. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Typically, like when I'm buying audio cables stuff, I'll go with like Cable Matters. It's generic, but they do all right. All of the OM4 fiber optic cable, if you do a search, it shows up like Cable Matters and like the Fiber Store and stuff like that. Pedro, let's say 5 meters of OM4. What are we going to pay for that? LC connectors.
$150 ish.
Okay, Jill.
120.
Neither of these people have ever bought fiber optic cable in their life, mind you.
No.
Well, I have.
I didn't stutter. So when you're dealing with like you're looking like OM1, OM2, OM3. Now OM3 and OM4 backwards compatible. It's all kind of fun stuff. LC, that's your standard connectors. It's decent. Stupid, wicked, crazy, overpriced 5 meters. You're going to pay $20 for. That is ridiculously overpriced for 5 meters. Like 9 times overpriced.
Yeah, wow. I did overpay for the first one that I bought.
Now, the people that got your back on this is mono price. $3 to $5 all day long. And that's what you should pay. That's what you're going to pay from fiberstore.com.
Yeah, I think my first one I paid $100 for it, but that was a long time ago.
Soybean pass. There we go. English.com. I see the watermark.
Miso soup.
Caution, democracy.
Yeah, poor translations, man. Like Google's taking all the fun out of it now because what is it, the looking glass or whatever they have, when you just take a picture and you just scribble over it and it gives you the translation.
It used to be called Google Goggles.
Yep.
And I used it a lot. You just point at something, it's like, oh, that's what it says. Okay.
Also, America, you need to change the way you spell fiber.
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 Yeah, fibry.
They put an ER at the end of it. Okay. Okay.
Center. That's the other one.
Yeah, century.
I was used to spelling center as CENTER, and everyone here spells it as CENTRE.
Mm-hmm. It's just annoying when you're searching for stuff. Like I can do color with COLOR.
Yeah, our favorite. FAVOU.
Color.
Yeah.
Color.
Actually, I usually spell color with a OU because one of the original artists, one of my first art teachers as a kid, she was from England. So I learned it. I learned all the terminology with the OU.
That was a mean teacher, teaching you incorrect grammar for the country you're in.
It was, I had a teacher, though it was definitely the English teacher that I learned the most from, because I was always that person in that particular class. That teacher didn't even bother asking me anything because I always had the answer. But that one teacher, she had a bit of a different way of teaching classes. She would get through everything that she wanted to do in a class in 30 minutes.
See, that's no fun. I'm imagining there's gonna be a super soaker in this story somewhere.
No. But yeah, she'd wrap up class pretty soon, and then people who wanted to leave could leave, but I usually stuck around because after class she'd go into the more advanced stuff. So that she actually taught me a lot. She lived in New York City for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So
that's kind of cool. So
yeah,
in Portugal,
she got all the English mannerisms of a bunch of different cultures.
Yeah,
which was nice, and she did a very good job of trying to pass that along at least.
Very cool.
English teacher, but close enough.
Hey, I remembered it. And then I see what the damage is. History, errors. Hey, no collisions. Nice. No FCS, no jabber, no runts, no fragments, no overruns, and most importantly, no pauses. Flow control.
I just looked at the lady's socks.
What? Oh. Yeah, that was a minute ago. I don't know.
Oh, my sippy cup, because I love it. I have pretty soon a new mug coming, Arthur, and that I can't wait to show. It's awesome. Linux mug coming.
Well, now I'm curious.
I'll save it. It was on my wish zone for a while, and then they discontinued it. So they just are in production again. So I grabbed it before it's gone. So.
Man, that
That was-
MSI Threadripper board needs to stay in stock, like right up to the point where I finally make up my mind to buy it. Because it doesn't stay in stock at one time. It's like, fine.
Oh.
It's gone. I'm like, you know it's going to be a couple of months before we get back around to that, right? That's like one of those things that doesn't show up very often.
It's also not a good time to be buying IT stuff.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're buying.
RAM. You could buy RAM. RAM is pretty cheap right now. That kit of RAM that I bought cost me, at the time, £170. It goes for 80 now. So, yeah, no, RAM is pretty cheap.
How much? Well, you got to check the pork bellies of RAM. Is the Vengeance DDR4 3000 16 gig kit.
3000 LPX. That one.
Everyone knows the one I'm talking
2x8.
Yeah.
70 pounds.
That's about right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's about right. I have lots of those kits in this room and computers. Lots and lots. Well, it's DDR3.
Yes.
Yeah, the Corsair Vengeance RAM is in the Threadripper and the audio processing box, which is far more critical as far as timing, reliability than Threadripper. You can make some mistakes with the video stuff and get through it. Now, granted, the Vengeance RAM doesn't have RGBs, brah.
Yeah.
No, it does not. But yeah, I bought this. It was the red version, but it's that exact same thing. It's just the heatsink color that's different. And it was 170 pounds, and now it's 76.
It's workhorse RAM. It's something that you can stick into a Ryzen box, set it to 3200, and it's going to be fine. It's not going to blink. It's not going to have errors. It's going to work. That's why I don't know to grab.
Ah, I see you've played Knifey Krabby.
See, I just look at that, then my brain immediately goes to, like, how could I deliver that pneumatically, like, at a distance? Who doesn't want a gun that shoots armed crabs? I really want a spot, but those are 75 grand.
Yeah.
And I don't know what type of battery capacity they have or if there's options for more batteries because it has to have like an electric chainsaw on the top of it. I'm just saying, I want that and I want the arm extension so I can let it hold about like, you know, just in like loose hundreds, like about 6 grand. Mm-hmm. With a chainsaw. Listen, man.
I mean, you actually put that in a semi-public place. You sell tickets just for people to watch.
Right?
You'd make that money back very quickly.
This is pay-per-view, man. America's deadliest thousandaire.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got planned for this afternoon, Joe?
Eat, go for a walk, talk to some friends, relax.
I know Pedro's starving.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I haven't had a text yet to say that Nori's also starving, so...
Oh, okay.
She's ordered pizza.
Yeah.
Probably.
Pedro, the pizza clock is pretty is far along, so...
Yeah. Can ride that out. That's fine.
Yes.
Oh, man. Unreal Tournament weapon. Oh, yeah. R.I.P. you two.
R.I.P. Epic.
Nah, Epic's got financing, man.
Yes, they have Fortnite.
It's not gonna be a money tsunami, but they get a very reliable money hose.
Yeah. They basically got their World of Warcraft. It's like, oh, and we can triple monetize it because kids just love this? All right. Okay. Yeah, 10 cent. 40%, yeah. There we go. Scott's on it.
See, now that's an interesting thing. Now, for it to be a gang, do you have to have the defined leadership? Does it have to be an organized gang? So, disorganized gang would just be a mob, maybe?
Yeah.
But the Patreon list was organized. And there's technically a hierarchy to it.
You can be absolutely crazy, but amazing like Haplo. But we know. If you'd like to support us, please do.
We have a murder of patrons.
There we go.
Yeah, they're licensing the Unreal Engine to a bunch of different people, but yeah, no, Fortnite is their cash cow, and it's still going.
It just gives me the sense, man, because I would say they were probably, if not 80+% done with the Unreal Tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, that was baked. It had like the opposing towers map because they're like, hey, we're gonna bring this back.
We're not talking like, oh, these are prototype, but like these maps had There were some hours put into
Yeah.
like texturing and setting those maps up. And it was like, yeah, half off. Fortnite, woo!
It wasn't just that one. There were 2 other games. There was one sort of Overwatchy style hero shooter. And there was another that I don't remember the name of. And they just poofed along with Unreal Tournament. Paragon, thank you. No, Paladins wasn't epic. Paladins, sometimes it works,
Hey,
sometimes
man,
it
not
doesn't.
every game has to be epic, Pedro. Some can be just okay.
Though I do know that Paladins, it runs Unreal Engine 3 or 3.5, something like that. And the
Yeah.
only reason it doesn't work on Linux is because of easy anti-cheat.
I'll tell you something. I don't even know what engine it was using. I was very impressed by the performance of it. I downloaded the Detroit Become Human demo.
Yeah.
Looked beautiful, ran beautiful. Interesting game, interesting demo. It's like that was kind of fun. But I watched like a game trailer. I'm like, I don't know if that'd be fun for like 20 hours though. You know. What's this game? Oh, just more of this? And it's like, yeah, I'd get burned out on that pretty quick. It was an interesting thing to play around with. Yeah, check it out, Chips. The demo runs out of the box on Linux. Just plop it in, boom, fire it up.
David Cage.
Nice. Frank is the puppeteer. Good one, Arthur. Yeah.
Downtown Detroit. Man, there was a time I think living in downtown Detroit would have been pretty sweet.
There's a text. All right, I shall be going. Y'all have
Okay,
fun.
Pedro.
We're about to go.
Have fun.
Yes.
Not when you were there? Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
See, I see Detroit.
It was a long time ago that Detroit, the 60s, I guess, when it was at its heyday in the car industry. That's where Steve's dad worked in the car industry for years.
Seen some nice places, like old, like property in Detroit. I'd intentionally stay away from like browsing real estate because a lot of those plots, like just shattered up houses, are cheap enough to just like, all right, I'll buy that one. I'll buy this one.
Yeah. I'd heard about houses selling for $1. I'm like, oh my God.
I've seen something like that, but I've seen some definite fixer-uppers that were selling for like 25, 30 grand. Like that
Yeah.
completely workable situation, you know.
And they're
go in, knock
nice
the walls
areas.
out and no, it's Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're the suburbs of Detroit where Ford is nice.
Yeah, there's the tax. All right. What is River of Lincoln, Canada? Below some facing south. Oh, okay. I had to make a show. As much fun as it is. Then I gotta go
Yeah.
mess around with this HP box. Gotta find out if it boots.
Oh, that'll be cool.
I have not even put a power noodle into the back of it. I just brought it in. and
Okay.
Just slid it between the two optiplexes. I'm like,
This is
okay.
for after the show.
Much after the show. And I just remembered to export the Twitch video, which is good.
Oh.
Because YouTube can take between 20 seconds and several hours to...
Yes.
All right, everyone. Be awesome. Have a great rest of your week. I'll be back tomorrow night as
So
Jordan
you're
and
gonna play
myself.
Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Cool.
We're going to start our adventure in Young
Awesome.
Blood.
Nice, Ben. That'll be fun.
So that'll be an interesting experience.
Oh,
if you continue to play.
Fubar Friday?
It's, yeah, it's this week. We'll probably play
Yeah.
like golf with friends this week.
Okay, cool. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. So stay on lookout for that.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Oh, look at that. Golf has a UNCUT. Interesting.
Yes, it does. There's a golf ball too.